He killed 27 men. The last one was just a boy, and that bullet destroyed him from the inside out. For 4 years, Caleb Thornton hid in the mountains, waiting to die. Then one frozen morning, he rode into Silver Creek for medicine and found a woman being attacked in an alley. What he did next would either save his soul or damn him forever. But here's the twist no one saw coming. The most dangerous man in Wyoming was about to fall in love with the only person brave enough to stand beside him. This story will remind you that no matter how broken you are, redemption is always possible when you find something worth fighting for. It's about second chances, the courage to face your demons, and the healing power of love that refuses to give up on you. If you believe broken people deserve second chances, drop a comment telling me where you're listening from today. And if this story touches your heart, hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late to start over. Now let's begin. The day it all began, Caleb rode into Silver Creek, Wyoming, feeling twice his 34 years. He was just looking for medicine for his cattle. He found a whole lot more trouble instead. He found them beside the medical clinic. Two men had a woman pushed against the brick wall. The bigger one was twisting her arm, his breath stinking of cheap whiskey. "Just sign the papers," the man snarled at her. She spat right in his face and told him to go to hell. As the man raised his hand to hit her, a quiet voice cut through the cold air. "Do not do that." Both men spun around, completely shocked. "And who in the hell are you?" and the big one demanded. "I am just a man who needs to see the lady about some medicine," Caleb said. "Then keep walking," the thug replied. "This is my business now." The man, Jennings, let the woman go and squared up to Caleb. "You do not know who you are messing with. Garrett Blackwood owns this town." Caleb did not flinch. "He does not own me." The thug's hand drifted toward his gun, but Caleb's stillness was unsettling. "What is your name?" Jennings finally asked. "Caleb Thornton." The color drained from the thug's face. "Thornton, the bounty hunter. I heard you were dead." Caleb's voice was as cold as the wind. "You heard wrong. Take your business somewhere else," Caleb said, taking a single step that made both men flinch. After a tense moment, they backed away, promising their boss would not forget this. When they were in, Caleb turned to the woman. She was shaken but stood her ground. "Are you hurt?" he asked. "No," she answered, her voice surprisingly steady. "Thank you for that. They seemed afraid of you." Caleb's reply was simple. "They should be." She introduced herself as Eleanor Weston, or Ellie, the owner of the clinic. Caleb soon learned that a powerful man named Blackwood wanted her property because of a secret underground spring. "Around here, clean water is worth more than gold," she explained with a bitter laugh. When Caleb suggested she just sell the land, her eyes flashed with anger. "This clinic was my father's legacy. I will not give it up." She thanked him again, but warned him to leave town immediately before Blackwood's men came back for him. Caleb asked what would happen if he left. "They will just come back for me," Ellie stated as a simple fact. The law was useless. The sheriff was Blackwood's cousin. The rest of the town was too afraid of Blackwood to help her. Everyone depended on him for their fortune and their homes. "I am the only one who has said no to him," she said. He then asked if she had a weapon. She had her father's small pistol, but admitted she barely knew how to use it. Caleb told her to pack a bag and go stay with a friend for the night. He would remain at the clinic and wait for Blackwood's men. "Why?" she asked, her voice a mix of suspicion and hope. "Why would you do this for a stranger?" Caleb thought about the innocent boy he had killed 4 years ago. He remembered the guilt that drove him to live alone in the mountains. "Maybe I am tired of hiding," he said quietly. "And maybe I am just tired of seeing bad men win." After a long pause, Ellie slowly nodded and told him where she could stay safely. He promised to walk her there, then come back to the clinic to wait. "You will be all alone against them," she warned him. "It would not be the first time," he answered. Inside her small, clean clinic, she got the medicine he needed for his cattle. She told him how her father, a doctor, had trained her after her mother died. When she asked about his family, Caleb simply said he had none. He was alone. "That sounds lonely," she whispered. "It is," he replied, paying her the $2. In that quiet moment, they were just two lonely people getting ready to face the same storm together. Model. Caleb left the money on the table. Tell me about this Blackwood fella. How many men does he have? Where does he hole up? Ellie took a long, slow breath. You sure you're fixin' to do this? He just nodded. Garrett Blackwood showed up here 10 years back with deep pockets and big ideas. Now he owns near everything in Silver Creek. She said he keeps about 15 men. Most are just ranching hands, but 5 or 6 are real trouble. Jennings is the worst of the bunch. They take turn guarding Blackwood's mansion, a big place north of town he ran a cattle baron out of. Blackwood's got a son, Marcus, 19. The boy hates his father and tries to drink himself numb every night. Maybe that's a weak spot, I don't rightly know. But Caleb, if you cross Blackwood, he will not stop. He never has. Caleb just picked up his package. Well, there is a first time for everything. We will see. Mrs. Hazel Price opened her door before he even knocked. She was 63, with silver hair and eyes as sharp as a hawk's. She looked Caleb up and down. You are the one who sent Jennings packing? It was not a question. Yes, ma'am. Heard you used to hunt men for a living. I used to. And what are you now? Playing the hero? Something like that. Mrs. Price looked over at Ellie, who was holding her bag tight. You trust this man? The old woman asked. Ellie answered honest. Not yet, but he is the first person who has offered to help in 8 long months. Mrs. Price stepped aside. Well, get on inside then, both of you. Supper is in an hour, and I have got some questions for you. Sit down, Mrs. Price told Caleb, pointing to a parlor chair. Ellie, you go on upstairs. I need a word with this man alone. The old woman eased into her own chair with a groan. Bad knees. Now, you tell me why I should not throw you out on your ear right now, because I mean to help Ellie. And why do you care? It just matters is all. Mrs. Price leaned in close. That girl is like a daughter to me. I promised her father on his deathbed I would look after her, and I have failed. Blackwood has been bleeding her dry, and all I could do was watch it happen. You think you can stop him? He has got men, money, and the law all bought and paid for. You are just one man. I have been one man against worse. And you are still breathing. You are a confident man, I will give you that. But confidence does not stop a bullet. What is your plan? I do not have one yet, Caleb said, meeting her stare. First, I need to see what I am up against. Then I will figure it out. Ma'am, I cannot promise I will win. I cannot promise Ellie will be safe. I can only promise that I will try, and I will not run. Why not? Running is smart. Running for 4 years did not keep me alive, Caleb said. It just made me a slow-dying man. Mrs. Price got quiet, studying him. You are carrying a heavy weight, mister. She stood up. Supper is in an hour, but you listen to me. If you give that girl hope just to snatch it away, I have got my husband's old shotgun. I may be slow, but I am a patient woman, and I do not miss. Understood. Dinner was a quiet affair. You really think they will come for you tonight? Ellie finally asked. Yes. How many? 3, maybe 4. Enough to make a statement. And you are just going to fight them? If that is what it takes, you could get killed. Could. Does that not scare you? Caleb looked at her. Miss Ellie, I have been scared every single day for the past 4 years. Scared of what I was and what I did. Tonight is the first time I have not felt that fear. Tonight, whatever happens, feels right. After they ate, Ellie stopped him at the door. Be careful, she whispered. Please. Those 2 words hit him harder than any punch. Lock this door behind me, he told her. Do not open it for anyone but me. He then walked out into the cold, snowy night and found a spot in the shadows to wait. 3 hours later, he heard voices cutting through the quiet. It was Jennings with 2 others right behind him. They were carrying torches and a sloshing can of kerosene. They were not there to talk. They were there to burn the whole place to the ground. Let us make this quick, Jennings grumbled. Before what? Caleb's voice cut through the dark as he stepped out from the shadows. His hand was resting calm and easy on the Colt at his hip. You, Jennings breathed out. What in the hell are you doing here? I told you before, the lady said no. The youngest of the thugs started to reach for his gun. Do not, Caleb said, his voice low and steady. I have put down faster men than you. You pull that pistol, and you will die right here in the snow. The kid's hand froze solid. Now here is what is going to happen. You are going to drop the torches and the kerosene. Then you will walk back and tell Blackwood that if he comes for Ellie West again, I will come for him. You are just one man, Jennings stammered, his voice shaking. I know what he has got, Caleb said, his voice dropping to a dead calm. I am Caleb Thornton. I have killed 27 men. Some of them deserved it, and some of them did not. But they are all in the ground, and I am still standing right here. You feel like making it 28? The silence was heavy. The young kid dropped his torch first, and it hissed out in the snow. The other man followed. Jennings held on for a moment, then let the can fall. This is not over. Keep telling yourself that. They backed off into the storm. Caleb stood there, his heart pounding, but his hands steady as a rock. For the first time in 4 years, he felt truly alive. He watched over the clinic until the sun came up. When he finally walked back to the boarding house, Ellie opened the door. You are alive, she said, her voice full of relief. Seems so. What happened? They came. I sent them away. Just like that? Just like that. She just stared at him, her eyes wide. Please come inside. The warmth of the house washed over him. Sit down, Ellie said, pushing him toward a chair. I will get you some coffee. Mrs. Price appeared in a shawl, looking him over. Still alive, I see. Yes, ma'am. A pity. I was looking forward to using that shotgun. But she was almost smiling. 3 of them? They will not be back tonight, but they will be back, she said. Yes, and you will be here. It was not a question. Caleb answered anyway. Yes, ma'am, I will be here. Ellie came back with a hot mug and pressed it into his hands. Their fingers touched for a moment. Thank you, she said, her voice barely a whisper. For everything. Do not thank me yet. This is only the beginning. I know, she said, her hands wrapped around the coffee cup. But this is the first time in 8 months I feel like I might just make it. Caleb looked her square in the eye. You will. I will see to it. Why are you doing all this for me? She asked. He saw the pure exhaustion weighing her down, but also the fight in her spirit. Because I spent 4 years running from what I did, he said softly. Yesterday, watching you stand up to those men, refusing to back down, it woke something up in me. Hope. It's a feeling I had not had in a long, long time. But you reminded me what it is to believe things can get better. Her eyes welled up, but she did not let a single tear fall. Now what? She finally asked. Now, Caleb said, we wait. Blackwood is not the type to let this go. He will be back. And when he comes, you will be right here. So will I, she said, taking his hand. Whatever happens. And for the first time in 4 long years, Caleb did not feel like he was alone. 3 days crawled by. Caleb stayed near the clinic, sleeping in short bursts, always ready. Ellie kept working, her warmth and skill a steady comfort to the sick folks who came her way. A rancher's wife, a child with a fever, an old man who could not shake a cough. Watching her, Caleb felt a dangerous warmth spread through his chest. On the 4th morning, Deputy Sam Crane found him. The deputy looked like he had been through a ringer, his eyes bloodshot and his hand trembling. We have to talk, Thornton. Not here, Crane whispered. Somewhere private. In the little barn behind the boarding house, the deputy laid it all out. Blackwood knows everything about you, he said. Your past, your reputation, all of it. He is not scared of you, Thornton. He is excited. He wants to be known as the man who put down Caleb Thornton. Let him try, Caleb said flatly. It is not that simple, Crane's voice cracked. He is not coming after you with guns this time. He is going after everyone who has helped you. Mrs. Price, the ranchers, anyone who even gave you the time of day. He is calling in debts and threatening families. He aims to isolate you completely. You cannot win with a gun, Crane pleaded. That is what he wants. He will twist the law until you look like the villain. So what do I do? Crane took a deep breath, a flicker of something besides fear in his eyes. Shame. There might be another way, he said, his voice dropping low. Something that could ruin him for good. It is the water. The wells in town have been going bad for months. Everyone thinks it is natural, but it is not. Blackwood is poisoning them. I have seen his men at night. He is making folks sick, so they have to buy his water. When your spring is the only clean source left, he will own this whole valley. Caleb finally understood. It was not just about the land, it was about total control. Why are you telling me this now? Caleb asked. Because I am tired, Crane admitted, his voice breaking. Tired of being scared. Tired of failing my own daughter. When you stood up to his men, it gave people a little bit of hope. Maybe Blackwood is not invincible after all. That is not enough to stop him. No, but it is a start. Crane stood a little taller. I can get you proof, documents, witnesses, something real. But I need you to keep Blackwood focused on you while I do it. How long? A week, maybe less. My daughter is already safe with my sister in Cheyenne. Caleb looked at the scared man who had finally found his courage. All right, he said, get me the proof. But if this is a trick, what Blackwood threatened will seem like a kindness compared to what I will do. It is not a trick, Crane swore, then vanished into the snow. Caleb went straight to the clinic. Ellie was cleaning her tools, her focus a shield against her stress. He told her everything, the poison, Blackwood's grand scheme, Crane's desperate plan. When he finished, she was pale. I knew the wells were bad, she said softly. People have been getting sick for months. I thought it was from the mines up north. She looked at him, her eyes clear and steady. This changes everything. It changes nothing, Caleb replied. We knew a fight was coming. Now we just know what kind of fight it is. He has been planning this for years, she said, her laugh hollow and bitter. My spring is just the beginning. He is after the entire valley. She explained that a man named Crane was looking for proof, anything they could take to the law outside of Blackwood's reach. My job is to be a distraction, Caleb said. And if he sends his men for you? Her face was grim. Then I fight, he answered. That is not a plan, Caleb. That is suicide. She was quiet for a long moment. But I might have another way. She pulled out some papers. His son, Marcus. I treated him about 6 months ago. He came to me drunk, beaten badly by his own father's men. He is not like his father, Ellie said softly. He despises what is happening, but he is trapped with no money and nowhere to go. Caleb thought about that. You reckon he would help us? I reckon he would help himself, she replied. If we offer him a real way out, he might give us everything. She told him that Marcus came to town twice a week to drink at the saloon. Tomorrow is his usual day. I think you can reach him. Caleb knew the danger. If Marcus went to his father, it would all be over. But if he did not, they might finally have a man on the inside. Be honest with him, Ellie urged. Tell him why you are fighting. Let him make his own choice. And if he chooses wrong, then we will face it together. That word, together, felt strange to Caleb after so much time alone. Ellie, he began, but hesitated. Thank you for trusting me. A small smile touched her face. I am not brave, Caleb. I am just too stubborn to quit. Seems like the same thing to me, he said. In the quiet clinic, Caleb felt a shift deep inside him. He was starting to care for this woman, and caring was the surest way to get someone killed. Caleb was in the Lucky Strike saloon before noon the next day. Marcus Blackwood arrived just after 1 o'clock. He had his father's expensive clothes, but wore a look of pure desperation. He drank 3 whiskeys in 15 minutes. Caleb walked to his table. Is this seat taken? Marcus looked up, and Caleb saw he was recognized. You are Thornton, he said. The man causing my father all this trouble. Former bounty hunter, Caleb said. Mind if I sit? Marcus gave a short, bitter laugh. Go on. I have been curious about the man who is not afraid of Garrett Blackwood. Caleb could see the old bruises on Marcus's jaw. Your father do that? Marcus's face went blank. He pays men like Jennings to do his dirty work. We have met, Caleb said flatly. So I heard. My father is not scared, you know. He is pleased. He says you will be entertaining. Marcus's voice was full of scorn. He does not tell me his plans. I am just the disappointment of a son he keeps around to look respectable. Caleb got straight to the point. What would you do if you could leave? Marcus froze, staring down into his glass as if the answer was there. I would go east, Marcus said in a near whisper. Boston, maybe. A place with libraries and theaters. Something my father would hate. That is a good dream, Caleb said. It is only a dream. What if it did not have to be? Caleb leaned forward. Your father has enemies, Marcus. People who are building a case against him. They could succeed, especially with help from someone on the inside. You want me to betray my own father? I want you to make a choice, Caleb said. Help him keep hurting people, or help us stop him. Fear warred with hope in the young man's eyes. If I helped you and he found out, you would have to be long gone, Caleb told him. I cannot promise it will be safe, but I can promise a chance. Marcus let out a laugh, but this one held a small note of hope. My father told me power is the only thing that matters in this world, he said. He met Caleb's gaze directly. But then I watched Miss Weston stand up to him. Time and again, I watched her refuse to break. And I realized my father was wrong. Some things matter more. Like what? Caleb asked. Dignity, Marcus answered. Being able to look at yourself in the mirror. You have trouble with that? Every single day. Marcus made his choice. There is a meeting tomorrow night. My father and his most trusted men. They are planning to end this once and for all. Where? Caleb asked, his body tense. The mansion. His study. 8 o'clock. Can you get me inside? There is a servant's door in the back. I can leave it unlocked. After that, you are on your own. That is enough. As Caleb turned to go, Marcus grabbed his arm. If this is some kind of trap, it is not, Caleb said. How do I know that? Because I know what it feels like to hate the man you have become. Marcus released him. Tomorrow night, he said, do not be late. Caleb walked out, the weight of the risk pressing down on him. He had to tell Ellie. His face was tight. He is in. The meeting is tomorrow night at Blackwood's place. Marcus is getting me inside. Ellie's voice was hollow. Caleb, are you certain about this? No, but it is our only shot. If it is a trap, I will handle it. She hugged herself tight, looking small under the weight of it all. I am scared, Caleb, she whispered. Scared of losing what little I have left. And I am scared of losing you. He started to speak, but she raised a hand. I just had to say it, in case you do not come back. He crossed the room and took her trembling hands. I will come back, he promised. You cannot promise that. I can promise I will try with every fiber of my being. Her eyes were glassy with unshed tears. Why are you doing this? She whispered. You could just up and leave. He hesitated. Because of you. When I am with you, I do not feel like the monster I was. You are not a monster. You do not know what I have done. Then tell me. The story spilled out of him. A boy, only 17, dead in the dirt from his bullet. A case of mistaken identity. When he finished, she was quiet for a long time. You did not know, she said softly. Does that matter? He is still gone. It matters to me. She squeezed his hands. You are trying to be a better man now. That is more than most folks ever attempt. I am not the one to forgive you. She lifted his hands, kissing his knuckles. I see the man you are now, and I like him. Something inside Caleb that had been frozen for 4 years finally thawed. She smiled through her tears. Not yet. Wait until this is all over. He nodded and turned to leave. At the door, she called his name. Caleb, come back to me. I will. He walked out into the biting cold, her words of fire in his chest. The old Caleb would have run, but this new Caleb had someone to fight for, and heaven help anyone who stood in his way. The next evening, he left just after 7. He moved like a ghost through the snow-dusted streets. Blackwood's mansion stood on a hill, its windows lit up like watching eyes. He found the unlocked servant's entrance Marcus told him about and slipped inside. Following the voices, he came to a door. Peeking through the crack, he saw Garrett Blackwood behind a large desk, with Jennings and 3 other men nearby. But it was the man against the wall who made his blood run cold. Deputy Sam Crane. Blackwood's voice was slick as oil. The deputy has been a great help. He will arrest Miss Weston in the morning on some made-up charge. And Thornton, Jennings asked. Blackwood smiled. Mr. Thornton will try to stop it. Then Deputy Crane will have to shoot him. A tragic accident. As for my son, he is a coward, of no concern to us. Caleb had heard enough and stepped into the room. Every man there, except Blackwood, looked stunned. Mr. Thornton, glad you could make it. Caleb ignored him, his eyes fixed on the deputy. Crane, you sold us out. The deputy looked sick. He threatened my family. I do not care. Caleb's voice was ice. Blackwood stood up, looking pleased. I am disappointed, Thornton, walking right into a trap. Maybe I wanted to see the look on your face when I told you it is over. Right now, a rider is on his way to Cheyenne with proof of everything you have done. By morning, everyone will know the truth. Blackwood's smile faltered. You are bluffing. Am I? Kill him, Blackwood ordered. But just as guns were raised, the door flew open. It was Marcus, holding a shotgun aimed straight at his father. Nobody moved. Son, what is this? Blackwood's voice was cold fury. I am ending this, Marcus said, his voice shaking. You do not have the guts. Try me. In that frozen moment, Caleb drew his own gun and aimed it at Jennings. Anyone moves, and he is the first to go. You are outnumbered, Blackwood sneered. Maybe, but you will be dead first. The standoff held until Blackwood finally laughed. Well played. Put your guns down, boys. His men slowly lowered their weapons. Caleb never took his eyes off Jennings. Crane, get over here, now! The deputy shuffled over, his face pale with shame. You are going to arrest Garrett Blackwood for everything you know. I cannot. You will, or every person in this valley will know you let their children drink poisoned water. Do it, Marcus urged, his shotgun steady. For once, deputy, do the right thing. Something in Crane's expression shifted. Beneath the fear was a flicker of resolve. Garrett Blackwood, Crane said, his voice surprisingly steady. You are under arrest. Blackwood glared at him with pure hate. You will regret this. Probably, Crane admitted, but I will be able to live with myself. They marched Blackwood out into the frozen night, his hands in cuffs. Back in town, with Blackwood locked in a jail cell, Caleb felt something he had not felt in years. Hope. It was not over, not by a long shot, but it was a start. Ellie was waiting on the porch. The second she saw him, she ran into his arms. You are alive, she cried. Told you I would come back. I did not believe you. I know. She pulled away, her hands framing his face. What happened? She asked, checking him for wounds. Blackwood is in jail, he said. It is over. She buried her face in his chest, a laugh mixing with a sob. I was so scared. I am here, he whispered, holding her tight. I am not leaving. I promise. But their peace lasted less than a day. A fancy black stagecoach, the kind you see in Denver, rolled into town. The man who stepped out wore a suit that cost a fortune and had the cold eyes of a predator. That will be Blackwood's lawyer, Mrs. Price said from the porch. Things are about to get a whole lot worse. It seemed Garrett Blackwood's fortune moved faster than a whirlwind. His high-dollar lawyer showed up in town before Caleb could even catch his breath. Deputy Crane looked pale as a ghost. The lawyer, he has got a stack of legal papers a mile high. He says if I do not release Blackwood by noon, I will be the one sitting in that jail cell. Crane's hands were shaking something awful. He has already wired the governor and every judge who owes Blackwood a favor. This whole arrest is about to vanish like it never even happened. Just then, the man himself walked right in. He was all polished shoes and a smile that had no warmth in it. My name is Harrison Webb, he said, his voice smooth as 20-year-old whiskey. I represent Mr. Garrett Blackwood. I trust you will release my client immediately. Then his cold eyes landed on Caleb. And you must be Mr. Thornton. I have heard all about your violent past. I suggest you walk away from this. My memory is long, and I promise you, it is not something you want to be a part of. Crane looked to Caleb, expecting him to argue, but Caleb's voice was calm and low. Let him go. The deputy was stunned. But all our work, we do not have enough evidence to make it stick, Caleb said. Not yet. Let Blackwood think he has won. It will buy us the time we need. With a heavy heart, Crane grabbed the keys. An hour later, Garrett Blackwood walked out of that jail like he owned the whole town. As his fancy carriage rolled away, he looked right at Caleb and smiled. Ellie appeared at his side, her voice a whisper. He is going to come after us now. He will not stop until we are destroyed. I know, Caleb said, but there might be one way to protect you. One way to save everything. He turned and looked right into her frightened eyes. Marry me. Ellie just stared at him, completely blank. What did you just say? Marry me, he repeated. Today, right now. Caleb, that is insane, she finally said. We have known each other less than a week. It is not insane, it is survival, he insisted. Right now, you are all alone. But if you become my wife, your property becomes my property. An attack on you is legally an attack on me. He took a deep breath. I have savings. I can pay off your bank loan, so Blackwood cannot hold it over you. Why would you do that for me? She asked. Ellie, I am not asking you to love me, he said. I am just asking for a chance to stand with you. A chance to fight. Stand with you. A tear tracked down her cheek. "If I say yes, Caleb," she whispered, "there is no turning back from this." He met her gaze. "I would give up 1,000 mountains just for you, Ellie." A small, watery smile touched her lips. "Well then, I must be as crazy as you are." "Yes." He pulled her in, promising they would build something real. "But Blackwood will try to stop us," she warned. "Then we had better be quick about it." They hurried to the church and asked Reverend Thomas to marry them right then and there. The Reverend called it highly irregular. "Sir, we are plain out of time," Ellie pleaded. "Garrett Blackwood is trying to ruin me, and this is the only way to stop him." He worried it was just a business arrangement. Ellie told him of her own grandmother who married a stranger to escape a cruel man and found 50 years of true love. Caleb looked the Reverend square in the eye. "My intention is to protect her and be the man she deserves." That was all the old man needed to hear. He agreed, asking only for witnesses. "Mrs. Price," Ellie said immediately, "and Deputy Crane." An hour later, they stood before the altar. Ellie, in a simple borrowed dress, looked like an angel. But as the Reverend began to speak, the heavy church doors slammed open. Garrett Blackwood stood in the doorway, flanked by 4 armed men. "Stop this farce," he commanded, his voice like thunder. The Reverend stepped forward, saying, "This is a house of God." Blackwood just laughed. "I have authority everywhere in this valley." "You cannot stop this," Ellie said, her voice shaking but full of fight. Blackwood just sneered, "I am the law in Silver Creek." From behind the altar, a new voice cut in. "Not anymore, Father." It was his own son, Marcus. He held up a stack of papers. "This proves you have been poisoning the town's water." Blackwood's face turned pale as a ghost. "I am done being your pawn," Marcus said. "The proof is on its way to the marshal. You cannot control me." One of Blackwood's men reached for his gun, but Deputy Crane moved like lightning. He drew his own pistol, his voice sharp and clear. "Nobody move." Facing down 4 guns, he did not so much as blink. Blackwood raised a hand, stopping his men. His eyes found Caleb. "This is not over." Caleb's voice was ice. "Bring it." Blackwood and his men turned and left. As the doors slammed shut, Mrs. Price cried, but Ellie began to laugh with relief. "Well," the Reverend said, "that was certainly unexpected." "Finish it, Reverend," Caleb said. "Marry us now." The rest of the ceremony was a blur, and suddenly he was a married man, kissing his bride. "Mrs. Thornton," he whispered against her lips. But their relief did not last. Marcus gave them a grim warning. "My father will not give up. Those papers will take days to reach Cheyenne. He will come for you both tonight with at least 10 men." There was no way out of town. The mountain passes were all blocked with snow. They were trapped. Just then, Deputy Crane spoke up. "Fort McKinney is 15 miles south. There is a treacherous trail through the mountains, but I know it like the back of my hand." He promised he could reach the fort in 3 hours on a fast horse and bring back soldiers. "Let me do this," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Let me make things right." Caleb looked at Ellie, who nodded. "Go," Caleb said. "Ride like the wind." They decided to make their stand at the boarding house, which had a stone foundation and strong walls. They gathered their weapons. Mrs. Price had a shotgun, and Marcus had a rifle. Caleb checked his pistols. He counted 12 shots in total against 10 or more men. The math was bad. He told Ellie she should take Mrs. Price and hide somewhere safe. She grabbed his arm, her eyes blazing. "We got married 2 hours ago, Caleb. You are not sending me away." He said he was just trying to keep her alive. "Then let me fight right here beside you." "If we are going to fight, then you need to teach me how to use a gun," she said, her jaw set firm. So he did. He taught her how to aim and how to breathe. She learned fast, just as he knew she would. As evening fell, he grew serious. "Ellie, you have to promise me something. If I do not make it through this night, you take the others and you run. Get out of this valley and do not look back." "I am not leaving you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "You might have to." "Why did you really marry me?" she asked, her eyes full of tears. He looked at her. "Because when I am with you, I feel like maybe things can be different. Like maybe I could love you if we only had the time." "Then let us make sure we get that time," he said. He kissed her then, a kiss that was fierce and full of everything he could not say. Just as they broke apart, a shout came from the back of the house. "They are here." Outside, torches lit up the darkness. They were surrounded. "Thornton," a man yelled from outside. "Come on out. or we will burn this whole place to the ground." "You try it," Caleb shouted back. "The first man who lights a match gets a bullet." Then a colder voice cut through the night. It was Blackwood. "You have caused me a great deal of embarrassment, Mr. Thornton. Did you truly think I would let that stand?" Caleb aimed his rifle right at the man's shadow. "I think if I pull this trigger, this will all be over." Blackwood just laughed. "Perhaps, but my men would kill everyone in that house, starting with your brand new wife." "That is my offer," Blackwood's voice echoed with pure satisfaction. "Give yourself up, and I will let the rest of them walk away. Your friends, your new wife, all of them. All I want is you. Do not listen to him," Ellie whispered, her grip tight on his arm. "He is lying. He will kill us all." Caleb knew she was right, but for a split second he considered it. Then Ellie's hand found his. "We stand together," she said. "That was our promise." He looked at the woman he had married just hours before, ready to face death with him. "Together," he agreed, turning back to the window. "No deal, Blackwood." A moment of silence, then Blackwood's chilling command. "Burn it down." Torches flew through the air, and the cabin erupted in flames. "We have to put it out," Caleb yelled, but the fire was already consuming everything. "We'll be cooked alive in here," Mrs. Price choked out. Marcus looked back, his face hard as stone. "That is his plan." Caleb's mind was racing, trapped between a fire and a dozen guns. There was no good way out. But then he saw it, a trap door to the root cellar, mostly hidden under a rug. He pointed, "Dead down there, now." They scrambled for the door. Mrs. Price went, then Marcus, and then Ellie. Caleb stayed behind for a moment. Ellie cried out, "What are you doing?" "Buying you some time," Caleb said. "Now go. I will be right behind you." He shut the heavy door and slid a cabinet on top of it. That would slow them down. He moved low through the smoke-filled house. Finding a window, he took aim and fired. A man outside went down. The rest scattered for cover. He fired again from a different window. A voice yelled, "He is still in there! Get him!" Bullets ripped through the wooden walls all around him. The fire was a beast, its heat trying to cook him right there on the floor. Caleb crawled for the trapdoor, heaved a cabinet out of the way, and yanked it open. His heart stopped. The cellar was empty. They were gone. For a second, he thought Blackwood's men had gotten to them. Then he saw a dark hole in the back wall, an old mining tunnel. A wave of relief washed over him. They had escaped. He dropped into the cellar just as the roof caved in behind him. He ran through the dark, smelly tunnel, chasing a sliver of light. He burst out into the cold night air behind the church, gasping. Ellie saw him and ran into his arms. "You are alive. Oh, thank God you are alive. I told you I would follow. You are bleeding." Caleb looked down at a deep gash on his arm he had not even felt. "It is nothing." Mrs. Price and Marcus were there, shaken but safe. "We have to move," Caleb said. "They will be searching for us soon." "Where can we go?" Marcus asked. Caleb's mind raced. The only place they would never think to look was the mansion. "Your father's house?" Marcus asked, stunned. "It is the last place he will expect," Caleb insisted. "He will be at the fire. The mansion will be empty." It was a crazy idea, but it was their only chance. Surprisingly, Marcus pulled a key from his pocket. "My father never knew I made a copy." They found a small storage room with no windows. A good place to make a stand. "Now we wait," Caleb said. The hours ticked by in the bone-chilling cold. Ellie sat beside him and whispered, "Do you regret it, marrying me?" "Not for a second," he said, pulling her close. "Especially now." He told her about a dream he had, about building a small house on his land up in the mountains when this was all over. Just a simple place for them to wake up together, to build something that would last. "It sounds like a dream," she said, her eyes shining with tears. "We are going to make it, are we not?" "Yes," he said. "I promise." Just then the door crashed open. Garrett Blackwood stood there with a pistol in his hand. "Found you!" Caleb shoved Ellie behind him, shielding her with his body. "Do not," Blackwood warned, his voice like cold steel. "One more move and your wife is dead." More of his men appeared, their guns aimed at the small group. "Did you really think you could hide in my house?" Blackwood laughed a hollow laugh. "Father," Marcus pleaded, stepping forward. "This has gone far enough." Blackwood aimed the gun at his own son. You betrayed me, Marcus. You threw away everything I gave you for these strangers. For my soul, Marcus said, his voice trembling. Something you sold a long time ago. You are a sentimental fool, Blackwood sneered. Just like your mother. Do not talk about her. Why not? She was weak and useless. The best thing she ever did was die. Marcus lunged. A shot rang out. Marcus crumpled to the ground, clutching his shoulder as blood bloomed between his fingers. Blackwood looked down at his son with disgust before pointing the gun back at Caleb. Now we end this. You kill me, you will hang, Caleb stated. Blackwood just smiled. He owned the sheriff and the judge. The story would be simple. A dangerous bounty hunter broke in, and he had to defend his home. I have spent 10 years building this town, he said. Did you really think one man could tear it all down? Maybe not one man, Caleb's voice was steady. But what about a whole town? The people of Silver Creek are scared of you, Blackwood. But fear does not last forever. People eventually find their courage. These people are sheep, Blackwood scoffed. They will never act. Not anymore, Caleb said, and he charged. He grabbed Blackwood's gun arm, and they both went down, wrestling for the weapon. A shot went wild. Shoot him, Blackwood screamed. But before his men could react, old Mrs. Price swung a heavy iron skillet with all her might. She caught one of the men square on the head, and he dropped like a sack of rocks. The room exploded into chaos. Blackwood fought like a cornered animal. He drove his knee into Caleb's wounded arm, and the pain was blinding. Caleb's grip loosened. Blackwood scrambled free, raised the pistol, and smiled. Goodbye, Mr. Thornton. A different shot cracked through the air. Blackwood staggered, looking down at the red stain spreading across his chest. He looked up and saw his son. Marcus stood there, a smoking pistol in his good hand, his face pale with shock. I told you not to talk about my mother, Marcus whispered. Blackwood fell to the floor, silent. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Ellie rushed to Marcus, trying to stop the bleeding. It was finally over. Then Caleb heard it, the thunder of hooves. He looked out the window and saw a dozen riders with torches. Blackwood's reinforcements. We have to move, he said urgently. But Ellie shook her head, her hands covered in Marcus's blood. I am not leaving him. She was a nurse. She did not abandon her patients. They were trapped, with one gun against a small army. There was no hope. And then a new sound cut through the night, a beautiful, clear bugle call. The cavalry. Deputy Crane had made it. Relief so strong it nearly buckled his knees, washed over Caleb. Soldiers swarmed the mansion, arresting Blackwood's men. They were safe. The military doctor was already working on Marcus. Deputy Crane looked worn out but relieved. The commander listened to me. Listen to me, he said. When I told him about Blackwood poisoning the wells, he was ready to move. He said he was just waiting for a good reason. Crane said they never had enough proof before. He looked over at Marcus, lying pale on a stretcher. Now he has a witness. Crane's voice got quiet. Marcus is going to testify against his own father. That takes real grit. Caleb asked about Blackwood. He is dead, Crane said, his face a mask. Marcus had to do it, self-defense. But that is a heavy burden for a son to carry. Caleb knew that kind of weight all too well. Crane added, with Marcus's testimony and the papers he found, Blackwood's whole operation is finished. The word finished echoed in Caleb's mind. He had heard it before. But seeing the soldiers in Blackwood's mansion made him dare to hope. He found Ellie in the kitchen, washing blood from her hands. She looked tired but managed a small smile. Marcus is going to pull through, she said. The doctor said he is strong. Her smile faded. But what he did, Caleb, shooting his father. That kind of wound does not heal so easy. She looked at him. Will you talk to him? You understand what it is like to carry something like that. Caleb thought of the boy he had failed, the guilt that sent him into the mountains for 4 years. He nodded slowly. Yeah, Butoyan, he said. I will talk to him. Ellie came over and took his hands in hers. You are hurt, she said, looking at a deep cut on his arm. Let me clean that. It can wait, he said. No, it cannot, she replied, her nurse instincts taking over. Sit down. Let someone else take care of you for once. Caleb did as he was told. As she gently cleaned the wound, He felt a tightness in his chest finally let go. "We are alive," he said, almost a whisper. "Yes, we are," she answered. "And we are married." He caught her hand, stopping her. "Ellie, there is something I have to tell you." He took a breath. "When I asked you to marry me, I said it was to protect you from Blackwood. And it was." He paused. "But that was not the whole truth. The truth is, I wanted to marry you, not just for protection, because with you, I feel like I could be a better man. Being with you made me feel like I could actually deserve to be happy," he continued. "Somewhere between the threats and the gunfire, I fell in love with you." The words felt solid in the quiet room. "I love you, Ellie." A single tear ran down her cheek, but she was smiling. "You fool," she whispered. "Did you think I did not know? I have been falling for you since you stood up for me in that alley." She laughed, a sound that was both broken and beautiful. "I just was not brave enough to say it." She put her hands on his face. "I have been alone for so long, Caleb. Then you showed up, this broken, wonderful man who looked at me like I was worth saving." "You are," he said. "So are you," she answered, and then she kissed him. "We will figure this all out," she said. "The ranch, the clinic, our life, together." In the days that followed, the law moved in. Investigators heard the whole ugly story of Blackwood's empire, built on poisoned wells and fear. From his bed, Marcus told them everything, holding nothing back. He gave them the truth that would lock up dozens of bad men. When he finished, he looked at Ellie. "My name is not Blackwood anymore," he said quietly. "I am changing it to Weston, if that is all right." Tears filled Ellie's eyes. "I would be honored, Marcus Weston." The law dissolved Blackwood's holdings. The land was returned to the families he had cheated. The money from his businesses was paid back to the people he had wronged. And Ellie's clinic was finally hers, free and clear. The marshal handed her the deed. "It is over," he said. "No more debt." On the seventh day, Caleb and Ellie stood before Reverend Thomas again. This time it was for a blessing. "You two have walked through fire," the Reverend said. "To come out stronger on the other side is a rare thing. Do not ever take it for granted." "We will not," Caleb promised. The Reverend smiled. "Then go on and build your life." They walked out of the little church, hand in hand. Fresh snow covered the ground, making the whole world look new. "What now?" Ellie asked. Caleb squeezed her hand. "Now we go home." "To your ranch?" she asked. He smiled. "To our ranch." She looked up at him, her eyes full of love. "I want it all, Caleb. The ranch, the cattle, and a quiet life with you. I want to build a real life with you right here, Caleb Thornton. Mrs. Price will manage the clinic, and young Marcus is fixing to study medicine. I will visit, but my home is with you." Caleb's heart felt near to bursting. "I do not deserve you." "Probably not," she smiled, "but you are stuck with me." The next morning, they left Silver Creek for good. Deputy Crane, his badge shined and shoulders square, met them. He tipped his hat. "Safe travels. The mayor offered me the sheriff's job," he said. "Rollins was dirtier than anyone reckoned." Crane stuck out his hand. "Thank you. For everything." Caleb shook it. "You take care of this town." "That is a promise," Crane said. The mountain pass was a trial of ice and wind. They pushed on, sharing warmth in cold caves just to see the dawn. On the third day, the ridge opened up, and they saw it. Their ranch. The cabin stood strong, a curl of smoke rising from its chimney. "It is beautiful," Ellie whispered. "Just you wait for spring," Caleb said. "The valley will be covered in wildflowers." That night by the fire, Ellie finally relaxed. "I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop." He pulled her close. "It will not. We have already seen the worst of it. The rest is just living." "Tell me about the future," she said softly. Caleb looked into the flames. "I see us making something real of this place. A bigger herd, adding on to the cabin, maybe adding a few rooms when—" He trailed off. "When what?" He met her eyes. "When we need them. I want a family with you, Ellie. A house filled with noise and love. I want to grow old right here beside you." Tears traced paths down her cheeks. "I want that too," she whispered. "I want it all." "Then that is what we will build," he said, kissing her with all the promise of the life to come. Spring arrived 3 months later, melting the snow from the peaks. Caleb stood on the porch, lost in thought. You are thinking too loud, Ellie said, joining him. I keep waiting for it all to vanish, he admitted. After so many years of running, I do not know how to just be happy. Ellie took his hand. You learn, she said, one day at a time. You earned this peace, Caleb. You deserve it. The boy you were back then, he would want you to truly live. She knew enough of his past, and it only made her love him more. Come inside, she said, squeezing his hand. Mrs. Price and Marcus are visiting today, and there is something I have to tell you. Inside, the table was set for breakfast, but Ellie just watched him, her eyes shining. You are starting to worry me, he said. She took a deep breath. Caleb, you remember saying you wanted children? Of course, well, she reached across the table, her hand finding his. It is happening sooner than you think. Caleb stared. What are you saying? I am pregnant, she said, her voice a fragile whisper. At first I thought I was just hoping too hard, she explained. But I am sure of it now, a baby. Their baby. Caleb could not find words. Say something, please, Ellie whispered. I am going to be a father. He shot up from his chair, crossed the room in 2 steps, and pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. Thank you, he choked out, his voice breaking. He wept against her shoulder, the feared bounty hunter, undone by a joy he never thought he would know. Look at us, she laughed through her own tears. Just a couple of fools crying over breakfast. The best kind of tears, he said. An hour later, 2 riders appeared on the trail. It was Mrs. Price and a stronger-looking Marcus. Well, the old woman demanded as she dismounted, did you tell him yet? Just this morning, Ellie replied. Mrs. Price gave Caleb a fierce hug. Congratulations, you big fool. I knew it the second she started turning down my coffee. She studied his face. You have been crying. Happy tears, he confirmed. Good, she said, patting his arm. You earned every one of them. Now listen here, young lady. A woman expecting a child needs proper nourishment, especially way up here. As the women went inside the cabin, their voices rising with chatter, Marcus just lingered on the porch. He always looked a little lost whenever folks were happy. Caleb asked him, You holding up okay? Marcus just shrugged, his gaze distant. He finally spoke, his voice low. My father, he never once worried if he was doing the right thing. He just assumed he was. Marcus confessed he could still hear his father's voice in his head, calling him weak and a disappointment. Caleb knew about ghosts like that. It gets quieter, he promised. The old voices fade, come on. New ones are from people who actually care. They take their place. Voices like Ellie's and Mrs. Price's. Caleb paused for a moment. And mine too, if you want. Marcus looked at him, completely surprised. You'd do that after everything my family did to you? Your father did those things, not you, Caleb said, putting a firm hand on his shoulder. You made the hardest choice a man can make, going against your own blood for what's right. That's not weakness, son. That's the truest strength there is. Marcus's eyes began to shine with unshed tears. Thank you, he said. That's what family does. At that moment, Mrs. Price's voice boomed from the doorway. Are you two going to stand there jawing all morning? Or are you coming to help with these supplies? Caleb couldn't help but smile. Coming, ma'am. The rest of the day was a busy hum of work and catching up. Fear had finally loosened its grip on Silver Creek, and hope was starting to take root. Over supper that night, Mrs. Price shared some news. They're talking about building a real schoolhouse, she said, and they want to name it after your father, the Weston School. Ellie's fork hit her plate with a clatter. Tears streamed down her face as Caleb reached for her hand. He would have been so proud of you, Ellie, Mrs. Price said softly. And he's not really gone. He's here in you, in this clinic. She glanced toward Ellie's rounded belly, and now in his grandchild. He would have loved being a grandfather. Later, as Mrs. Price and Marcus got ready to head back, the old woman pulled Caleb aside, out of Ellie's earshot. You take good care of her, she ordered quietly. She's tougher than she looks, but this is hard on a body. Then her sharp eyes fixed on him. And you take care of yourself. You carry more weight than any man should, Caleb. It's time to let yourself be happy. I'm trying, Ashanayan, he said. Try harder, she shot back, mounting her horse with surprising ease. Come on, Marcus, let's leave these lovebirds be gone. They stood and watched until the riders were just specks on the ridge. Ellie came and slipped her hand into Caleb's. "It's really happening, ain't it?" she whispered. "This life we're building, it's real." "It's real," he answered, pulling her into a hug. "I keep thinking I'm gonna wake up." The summer passed in a steady rhythm of hard work and deep love. Caleb built onto the cabin and tended the herd, getting ready for the baby. They had their little arguments, of course, the way married folks do. "You're hovering," Ellie told him one afternoon when he told her to rest for the fifth time. "I'm pregnant, Caleb, not made of glass." Her voice softened. "I know you just want to protect me. I need you to be my partner in this, not my guardian," she said, taking his hands. "I need you to let me be strong even when you're scared." "I'm terrified," he admitted. "Terrified of losing her, of something going wrong. Terrified of being happy." The words hung in the air. "Yes," he finally said. "I don't know how to be happy without waiting for disaster." She gently cupped his face. "Then we'll learn together, day by day. That's all marriage is, Caleb. Two imperfect people figuring it out as they go." He had to laugh. "I love you," he said. "I love you too. Now let me finish this quilt in peace." Fall arrived, painting the mountainsides with color and bringing a chill to the air. The new Dr. Marcus had brought to town came to check on Ellie. "Everything looks good," he said after a visit in October. "Strong heartbeat. You should have a baby within the month. Your wife is healthy, Mr. Thornton. Stop pacing." But Caleb couldn't stop. He watched and waited, his gut clenched tight, always expecting the worst. It happened late one night. Ellie woke him with a sudden gasp, her hand clamping onto his arm. "Caleb," she said through gritted teeth, "it's time." He was out of that bed in a flash, trying to do everything the doctor had told him. The next 12 hours felt like a lifetime. Caleb stayed by her side through the long night, holding her hand as her cries echoed in the cabin. "I can't," she gasped at one point, exhausted. "Caleb, I can't do this." "You can," he insisted. "You're the strongest person I know. You survived Blackwood. You survived marrying me. You can survive anything." She managed a weak laugh. "You're an idiot." "You're idiot, always," he whispered back. Just as the sun was coming up, the doctor arrived. And then a new sound filled the room. A small but strong, piercing crying. "It's a girl," the doctor announced. He laid the tiny, perfect baby in Ellie's arms. Caleb looked at his daughter, and he felt something inside his chest that had been broken for 4 long years. Finally mend itself back together. "Grace," he said when their daughter was born. "Her name is Grace Thornton." "It is perfect," Ellie wept. The years that followed were a mix of hard work and simple joys. There were tough winters and dry summers, but there was always love. Grace took her first steps in their kitchen and spoke her first word on a bright spring morning. Marcus became the town doctor, the kind of man his father never was. And Sheriff Crane kept the peace in Silver Creek for 15 good years, a promise kept. Caleb and Ellie built their life, day by day, right there in the heart of the mountains, model. And just like they promised, Caleb and Ellie built a life together, piece by piece. Their family grew grew. First with a daughter, Grace, then a son, Thomas, followed by twin girls who raised a ruckus from the moment they were born. Their small cabin stretched into a proper homestead, known all over as a place run by good, salt-of-the-earth folks. Caleb never forgot the boy in the canyon. That weight was always there, but it changed. It became a reminder to be a good man. He told Grace the whole story when she was 15, a girl with her mother's fiery eyes. "Does it still hurt you, Pa?" she asked. "Sometimes," he admitted, "but it is not like it used to be." "How did you learn to live with it?" she asked. He looked at the daughter he never figured he deserved. "I found something worth living for. I found your mother." 2 decades later, Caleb and Ellie sat on their porch, watching the sun dip low. Their hair was gray and their children were grown, but they were still side by side. "Remember when you proposed?" Ellie asked with a smile. "You mean when I bullied you into it to save your land?" He chuckled. "That is the one," she said. "Well, you said yes." "I was in a bind," she teased, then took his hand. "But I would say yes now, no matter what. You in this life, Caleb, you are the best thing that ever happened to me." I rode into town for supplies and left with a bride, Caleb said. Best bargain I ever made. They sat in a comfortable quiet as the sky turned dark. Any regrets? Ellie asked him. He thought of the guilt and the lonely years in the mountains. Then he thought of Ellie, their children, and the warmth of their home. Not a single one, he said, and he meant every word. She laid her head on his shoulder. I love you, Caleb. I love you too, Ellie. Always will. The stars began to pop out in the sky. He had ridden into Silver Creek a broken man, looking for nothing but pain. Instead, he found a woman with a will of iron and a heart of gold. He found a community worth defending. He found the strength to face down his own demons and finally to forgive himself. He had found his home. As Ellie's breathing grew slow and steady against his shoulder, Caleb felt a powerful gratitude wash over him. He would never stop being thankful for that cold morning in Silver Creek, for the life it had given him. He had ridden into town for flour, coffee, and bullets. He left with everything in the world that truly mattered.